Attention A1 Trading Show fans, if you're looking to get funded, we've got a solution for you. Our partnered prop firm FX2 Funding helps traders get access to up to $200,000 in trading capital. FX2 Funding is not your average prop firm. We've chosen them as our partner because of their fair examination rules, their professional and available customer service, and they have an outstanding reputation in the prop firm space. Here's a quick look at their evaluation process. First, they don't have a time limit on their evaluations. That means that you can take your time when passing your evaluation. There's no pressure to rush your trading. Second, there is only one phase to pass in their evaluation before getting access to your funded account. Also, their evaluation fees are fairly priced and fully refundable upon passing. Once you're funded, you'll be able to keep up to 85% of your trading profits. Finally, a rule we know swing traders will love, you can hold your positions over the weekend. For a limited time, get 15% off any of their account challenges with promo code A1Trading15. That's 15% off any account challenge with code A1Trading15. If you're ready to get funded, we're dropping a link in the chat right now, and you can also find it in the description down below. So go ahead and get signed up today for 15% off with promo code A1Trading15. Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream. I'm sorry for the late start here. I was that is on me. I was a little late to get into the office today, and so we are here now. That's all that matters. We of course have core PCE coming out very shortly, and on this stream, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the reaction to this news. This is something that I'm personally really interested in paying attention to. Is of course the core PCE. We also do have unemployment claims, some more jobs data to follow, all the stuff that we've had this week. It's been a really hectic week, and we are still 1 for 1 this week. I've only taken one trade, and I'm still in that trade. It is, of course, the NASDAQ trade. Somebody said the reason I was late, I can't see that. Where is the message? Somebody said in the chat that the reason I was late, oh, here it is. Nathan said he's still dreaming about his NAS trade. It's fortunate right now. I can say that much. It's a fortunate situation to be in with the NASDAQ. This thing has run very, very strong. And with core PCE numbers around the corner, you may ask, Nick, are you just going to close this thing? And the answer is no, because, you know, here's the thing. People, this is a quick tip for people who trade in a similar fashion to me. I trade the hourly chart. And so what that ends up meaning is that when I have a big runner like this and trail stops on it, it can last for several days. At this point, what is that? That's 4 or 5 trading days that I've been holding on to a winner here. So that for me is a long duration trade. Usually I'm not that long, but again, this thing has just kept going and going and going. And so, you know, you may ask, well, Nick, why not close it before the news? Why don't you take off half? Why don't you do this, that, the other? I've been doing this for a long time. I know my strategy. And for me, what this entails is holding sometimes through news events. I am bullish on the NASDAQ. I have been. And, you know, the EDGEFINDER is actually giving us a NAS bullish signal as well. So I'm especially bullish and willing to keep holding on. Does that mean that I know that PCE numbers are going to shoot to the moon, right? No, I do not. I don't know what the news is going to do. That's why I use a trailing stop. Trailing stops are not perfect, but what they do allow me to do is stay in a trade if it wants to keep going and get me out of a trade if I need to do so. In fact, while we're here on the stream, I need to do something This is going to be my third stream in a row where we trail a stop on NAS. I'm going to tighten this stop loss just a bit more here, guys. We have made a significant move higher since the last time we were streaming. This thing has just been such a monster. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trail my stop further into profit and tighten this thing just a little bit. Now, what I'm going to need to do here is while we are on air, I'm going to be pulling up the live room and I'm going to share this update with members. Again, NASDAQ is my focus this morning. I will also be taking a look at gold. I've got to talk about gold. I know a lot of you guys probably want to hear about that as well. Gold is an interesting mover right now, also doing very, very well. And we'll try and cover whether or not, I think that could be a bullish case scenario or if it's going to be likely to continue. So I've trailed my stop loss. And again, the updates for this will be inside of the Discord channel. This is what the Discord channel looks like. So if you guys aren't already in there, any updates that I make on my trades, I do share inside of the trade alerts channel. I have the swing trades channel here where I'm taking trades off the hourly mostly. So if you trade the hourly chart, if you'd like to see the trades being taken by my team or by myself, Frank and I are sharing our trades. We also have Ivan, who is, I know he's very long yen pairs and has been doing several coaching webinars talking about his yen sort of trading scenario right now. I know he's very bullish on yen pairs and it's been working out really well for him. So if you'd like to come join us, we are absolutely on fire right now. And I don't just say that. There are times where we're not so on fire. There are times when I take losing streaks and that sort of thing. But right now we have come back swinging. Frank is long. He was long GJ, trailed out for a profit. He had a gold trade that broke even. And I have just been managing my NAS100 trade for the last few days. This thing has just become a monster winner. And so if you guys are not already inside of the Discord, here's what you can do. If you'd like to join, we're going to drop a link in the chat real quick. This link, if you message us, you'll get a discount off of the membership. So the VIP group gets you access to all of the trades that I'm sharing as well as the updates. Click this link. It will take you to a direct message center where you can speak to a real person on my staff to get set up with a membership in the group. Let's talk a little bit. Again, we've got core PCE and unemployment claims dropping in just about 4 minutes to go now. Let's take a quick look at gold and see what is going on here. Is gold a buy up in this area? Remember what I said yesterday, guys? We had this long conversation. A lot of you guys were here for that, I know. We talked about yesterday, is gold worth shorting? And, I mentioned that this trade, a lot of times what people will do is they'll try and trade the pullback, right? They're like, well, let me short this and trade it back to this upward trend line because maybe there's room to make money on the downside. While that is possible to do, I still stand strong. And I think that is one of the hardest trades that you can do. Look at what happened. If you had shorted yesterday, while we were live thinking, well, this thing's got to come down, it's got to pull back. I'm going to short and sell the retracement. This is why the trade is so hard, because this thing is really bullish right now and trying to short momentum is just an incredibly, incredibly difficult thing to do. So if you are bearish on gold, which I have been a little bit bearish, right? Fundamentally, I have not had any trade setups to go short on gold anytime recently. I shorted maybe 2 weeks ago, a couple different times. And then when it kind of broke structure, I had a couple winners and then I took one loss and I haven't taken the trade since. So I've waited for market structure to kind of come back. So if I'm short biased, I'm not shorting up in this upward trend. I'm waiting for this upward trend to fall apart. And then maybe I'm looking for short. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm trading if I'm going to set that up if the market actually forms, kind of a top and starts to roll over. But I'm not going to short something that's just screaming higher, right? I'm not going to force a long. I'm not going to short the high. I'm going to either, if you're bullish, I think a calculated entry is looking for a pullback to this kind of area of value, this fair value kind of upward trend. And if you're short biased, you've got to see all of that fall apart, in my opinion, before really looking to get short. Because just trying to short this thing just because it, quote unquote, it seems too high is a recipe for disaster, in my personal opinion. Doing this over the years that I have done, what I can tell you right now is pull up the gold sentiment chart and let's take a look at what retail traders are doing. I bet you, it is getting a little bit more mixed there. And there it is. So 51%, 49%. That's about where it was yesterday. So it hasn't become any more extreme to go against my point. But my thought process is this: as gold continues to rise, what you're going to see is this number is going to get bigger, right? So if this thing keeps going up, what's going to happen is retail traders are going to short it more and more. So I'm going to be very cautious with that trade, especially when you get this 50-50 environment. This is not really, for me, very interesting to trade gold in, even if I am long or short bias. I really like to see retail kind of piling on the other side, as they typically lose money. Guys, we are just about a minute to go here from core PCE. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up the dollar index. This is probably one of the most interesting charts to watch out for as we get closer to the number this morning. Again, PCE is a measurement inflation that the Federal Reserve actually really pays close attention to. Today's PCE number will be very impactful to the dollar. We're about 50 seconds out. Please be very careful with these news events. Please do not trade, the release. Don't trade the spike. I'm telling you, it is a very, very dangerous game to play. Spreads get ridiculous, and you will lose money if you keep trying to do that. The brokers are not set up for you to be able to easily make money doing that. 30 seconds to go here, guys. We'll watch what the number is. And of course, let's drop it down to that 15-minute chart. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you like the show, do me a quick favor as we get closer to the news. Hit that thumbs up button. We're in here early in the office to give you guys this coverage. There's 484 of you guys watching. If you would do me a quick favor, hit that thumbs up button. We're 10 seconds out for the breaking news. Check it out. All right, let's see what we get in terms of DXY and core PCE and unemployment claims, both coming out here, should be coming momentarily. This is a 15-minute chart. Let's see if we get any significant reaction to this new data. Dollar initially pushing up just slightly. Let's take a look at what we've got in terms of numbers. We're still on the pending side of things. Let's see. Again, waiting for core PCE and unemployment claims. Dollar dropped back right to where it was. 500 people in here, guys. Say what's up in the chat. Thank you for being here. If you're new, yo, what's up? Welcome to the stream. All right, we are waiting on this number. There it is, 228K. So better than, wow, more data supporting. Actually, no, this is, I'm sorry. Data came out for PCE as expected. So probably not going to cause too much volatility there. However, the secondary number, the unemployment claims here this morning, actually came out better than expected. So less people filing for unemployment, not a huge significant margin. So I wouldn't expect too much movement in terms of the dollar in the short term. But guys, you have to remember, NFP is tomorrow, and the dollar, you have to ask yourself, is this dollar going to kind of, what is it going to do ahead of NFP? If people were buying the lows here, they may take some profits. If people were, kind of short bias, they may also take some profits. Sometimes you have to kind of weigh the, do you want to be holding trades into NFP sort of scenario? Let's see how this is impacting my trade. I'm still long NAS. I'm going to pull up the NASDAQ, put up the 1-hour chart. Still long and still strong. We love to see it. This thing is just a monster move, and we are still in profit, trailed stops. I would love to see this thing break higher. If we just get another day of breakouts, heck, I mean, I'm not complaining, right? I'll trail this stop. My next goal is if we can clear the highs by a good margin, meaning a nice solid close above this yellow hand-drawn line, I would like to move this stop loss back even higher, right? Lock in more profit. I'd love to get my stop loss up to here, and it looks like we've got a nice initial move there. Drop it down just quickly to the 30 minutes so we can see what's going on. NAS is really strong. Gold probably also pretty strong. Look at this, guys. If you're watching the 30-minute on gold, here's the thing. If you're a momentum trader, watch for possible even breakouts above the previous high. As crazy as it sounds, look at this price action we see, right? Yes, gold seems quote unquote too high, but it can totally keep running. And if price action sets up, if your risk to reward is fine, there's momentum trades that can still be taken, right? People who are trying to fade gold will say, no way, why would you want to buy the highs? But the thing is, if you're break and retest and you're patient and you have good management on the trade, right? Good risk reward, it's still possible that there is possibly some good risk reward to be had going long gold, despite, this thing being up for several days in a row. Again, I think it's a false, it's a fallacy to think that because gold has gone up that it can't possibly keep going. It totally could, right? Especially if we get some dollar weakness here. Again, dollar was up a little bit off possibly some expectations that claims could be better than expected. It was very slightly better than expected, and core PCE came out as expected. So no surprise there on core CPI or core PCE, which is why we're not seeing too much volatility from that. People sometimes say like, "Oh, news doesn't make sense. The candles just do random things." Frank and I were having a conversation. The market is wicked smart, guys. It usually reacts actually very, very logically. People just don't know fully understand the fundamentals. People will sometimes be like, "Oh, it's good news," and the market goes down. Well, usually if the market's going down substantially, really smart people have looked at it, they know more than you, and they've shorted it, right? So you got to think, markets are crazy smart. It's actually kind of scary sometimes how smart they actually are. Look at that. The S&P actually outperforming NAS here this morning. Still holding on to this trade. Gonna let this one run. Look at this. I still can't believe I stayed in this trade, man. This trade was it was a gift. I've been on the other side where it stops me out and then keeps going, but this trade, my stop loss placement, in this case, did end up saving me. I barely missed, and it has just run and run and run. My next goal, for those of you who are on VIP, I'm trailing stops further into profit if we get a strong hourly candle to break through this high. So if we break through the highs, members inside of the group, I will be updating my stop loss further in the swing trades room. So just keep an eye on this. If you're not already in this, we dropped this earlier, but if you guys would like to join the VIP, we're going to drop a link in the chat. Click this link, join the group. It is very, very worth the small fee to get in. If you want to try it for a month, if you want to pick it up for a year, whatever you want, come join us. It is worth it. You'll be able to access Ivan's coaching webinars. He does a couple each week and does small group coaching. So if you have questions, if you're looking for mentorship, if you're looking to join a chat room, if you want access to Frank and I's trade alerts, I trade, FX, indices, gold. Frank does the same. He also trades stocks, and I also trade options. So we are very, very active in here, and it's been a really, really good hot streak for us recently. So we'll see if we can keep it up going into NFP coming into the rest of this week. Again, a little bit of look at sentiment. Feel free to pause if you want to look at where we're at in terms of, dollar yen, retail traders very short. Dollar CAD, same thing. Dollar Swiss, NZD, USD, retail traders are on the very long side of the equation. Let's take a look at smart money here. Just a little update. If you haven't seen this recently, we've been putting in some work on this. Check this out, guys. The table has been updated. We've added a ton of stuff. These two columns, I really shouldn't do this without Frank here, because Frank is he is the mastermind. He did all the building on this, but we updated our table significantly. So what this does now is this shows you in the last week the percentage change on the long or the percentage change on the shorts. So where are they really picking up positions or dropping them off? One thing you'll notice also is that some of this text is colored. If this text is colored, guys, it shows, for example, NAS100 is blue. What this means is that the net bullish change, there was net bullish change in the most recent reporting. So when looking at the NASDAQ, when we see, the change in long contracts and the change in short contracts, both pointing bullish, this gets painted blue. So this is a really cool new signal that the EDGEFINDER has been added to the EDGEFINDER. Frank did an amazing job with that with the help of our other developer. And so, between, this update, so what we can see here now is NAS gets a bullish reading this week. Silver gets a bullish reading. Gold, kind of a sketchy one, right? We actually saw an increase in shorts in the last filing, as well as a decrease in longs. So NAS100, part of the reason I took this trade was because the COT looked great. It looked very, very optimistic. Lots of short positions getting closed by institutional money, which is why, I'm still in that NAS trade and trailing. What a beautiful move it has been. Let's see if it keeps going. Anyways, in terms of top setups, these are trade ideas currently printed by the EDGEFINDER. What the EDGEFINDER does, if you're not familiar with it, it is a scoring algorithm. It is quote unquote AI that basically takes into account tons of data. The GDP numbers that are coming out, inflation, like what we just had with PCE, that's actually being incorporated into the EDGEFINDER, unemployment, interest rates, seasonal trends, retail sentiment, and the commitment of traders data. It scores all of that together and it generates a bias for your favorite currency pairs. If you're looking at NASDAQ, like you can see NAS is getting a bullish reading. You've got dollar yen getting a bullish reading, dollar CAD, whatever you trade, you might want to see the bias that the EDGEFINDER is giving it, the euro, the pound, the Aussie. And yeah, I think, you know, we're going into, we're not quite at year 2 or about a year and a half into developing this tool, but it's come online. It has come to a different level between the 3 of us working just constantly on improving it. It is at a different level at this point, and I've caught so many good trades with the help of this tool. It combines so much data into an algorithm and then gives a score. So if you want access to this, the reason I am pointing it out, all these cool features, and I am bragging a little bit about our progress, our work on this. We are currently doing a 35% off sale on the EDGEFINDER. If you would like access to the tool and get access to all of the new features we've been working on, you can click the link that's been dropped in the chat right now, and it will connect you to a real person on our team who is trained to answer questions about the software, to give you a tour if that's something you would like. And if you'd like to get yourself a copy, take advantage of that sale while it is still online. Some of the dollar pairs are interesting to me. You know, Euro USD, for example. I actually think this is kind of interesting. It's selling off pretty hard at this level we talked about yesterday. The NAS is still strong, but the dollar is showing some strength as well, despite all the jobs data that we had that was kind of counter dollar this week. Do I short this? For me, no. What I would be looking for on this scenario would be to get some kind of, you know, break of structure, significant breakouts in order to start looking for shorts. If you know my style of trading, I typically like to execute on the hourly chart. And what I'm usually looking for is kind of stair climbing trends. Really, really simple on the technical analysis. When it comes to technicals, I find them to be, you know, they're certainly important, they're certainly useful, but I try and keep it really simple on the technical side and really focus a lot of my efforts looking at, you know, what big money is buying and selling, and seasonal data that can tell us when things are likely to rise or fall, or economic data, which of course is the driving force on currencies and the stock market, et cetera. So yeah, that's really where I focus my efforts, is the fundamentals. And then I use the technicals to help me enter and exit trades. So I am kind of bearish on euro, but I'd like to see it actually start to show some skin in the game in terms of technicals, right? We need to start seeing some structure for me to start picking it up on the short side. Just because we hit a level of resistance, that's not enough for me to just go short on it. I really like to see kind of that trending nature form. In just a few moments, by the way, guys, we are going to be having 2 guests join us who are heavily invested on the technical side, and I always look forward to it. It is Technical Thursdays, of course. If you guys are not familiar with the show, if you're new here, take a second. This show, we put a lot of work into it. It's free for you guys to attend. All you got to do, if you want to help support the show, hit that thumbs up button and let us know. That will let YouTube know that you're enjoying the show, and it will also promote it perhaps to other traders who would like to join as well. So I want to come back just for a second and look at gold. Gold, look at the difference here. I find this very interesting. Usually you see some positive correlation between gold against the dollar and the euro against the dollar, right? Because of course they're both quoted in dollars. Well, look at the difference here. The dollar is beaten up on the euro, but it's not doing so well against the gold market. The gold market's actually kind of beaten out the dollar right now, clearly by a lot of green on this chart. So, you know, I pointed out this, I've made this point pretty clear a couple times, I think, so I don't want to drill it too hard. If you've been watching already, you know what I'm going to say. A lot of people are going to be tempted to kind of trade this retracement. And I think that this retracement is a very tempting offer. A lot of traders say, well, I missed the buy, so I'm going to short this thing until it comes back into a buy, and then I'll go long. And, you know, I think the tough thing about that is that you're trying to get fancy and you're trying to trade against the momentum of this market. Can it work? Sometimes, absolutely it can. Some traders even trade retracements profitably. And I'm not trying to dog on people who trade a different way than myself, but just know that this is a very difficult trade to master. And although it looks tempting, oftentimes a market can run in momentum for a very suspended period of time. And that retracement never comes to a point where you actually are in profit, and you are instead just really stuck with a tough trade. Trayvon says, should I buy the S&P 500 right now? Let's take a look at the S&P. So here's the thing, Trayvon. I'll give you my take on it. I know this is going to sound kind of annoying, and I'm not trying to, but the trade was back here, right? For the NAS and the S&P 500, the trade was back here. And you might say, well, clearly it is now. But my point with saying that is look at how much green has formed in this chart. Look how strong this chart has moved already. And can it go higher? Sure, it could. But I don't think chasing or taking this trade, I think it's a little closer to chasing than it is waiting for a calculated pullback trade, right? We broke out of this downward structure over here. That's what got me looking for longs on the indices. I liked the price action on lower time frames. I took a trade with the stop below. I barely missed getting stopped out. It was not a perfect trade by any means, but this thing has run since. And S&P and NAS, they pretty much moved together. But the thing is, right? Do you buy it up here? I would say no. I would say, this is just my opinion, my take on this. If I'm trading the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 and I missed the move, guess what? You missed the move, and that's okay. Don't be like frustrated. Don't play the FOMO game. If this thing wants to pull back, look, there's plenty of room. If this thing wants to sell off even a little bit, it could come back very quickly and very easily down to 44.66. There's plenty of room for this thing to fall. And so buying it up in here, I think, is a risky game to play. And in my opinion, I'm looking for, if I get stopped out of NAS, I might re-enter the trade, but I'll wait for a significant pullback, right? A reasonable risk to reward that I can set up on my trade before just looking to jump in again. So I can understand it is tempting, right? You're like, wow, that thing is moving. I want to be a part of it. Again, I took the trade back here. If you're inside of our group, it may be helpful to you to also see the trades being taken to confirm what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not telling you what to do with your account by any means. This is my strategy. This is what I do. This is my trading journal. But if you'd like to see the trades that I'm taking and win so that you can get alerts and understand, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm looking at, so that you can, maybe pay attention to certain markets or certain things as well, it might be useful to check out the VIP. We'll leave a link for that in the chat if that is something you're interested. It's also in the description. Now, guys, we're going to go to Miko and Marco for Technical Thursdays time. It is going to be fun here to take a look at some technical charts. We'll take probably a look at some more currency pairs now. Now that I've gotten done talking about the NASDAQ for 30 minutes straight, we can now talk about some other things. I apologize for it. I know some people want to see other things. So let's go for a quick break. We'll thank our sponsors who make this show possible on top of you guys' support. And then we'll come right back to Miko and Marco for Technical Thursdays.
Attention A1 Trading Show fans, if you're interested in getting free access to the EDGEFINDER or our premium trade alerts, listen up. For a limited time, our show's partnered broker 8cap is giving out free access to our products when you sign up for a new trading account with them. If you already have a broker, you may want to consider switching to 8cap because of their low trading costs, a wide range of trading assets, and their amazing customer support. If you'd like to get access to our software and Discord server for free, click the link being dropped in the chat right now and ask one of our team members for more information. Don't miss your chance for free products and an award-winning broker. Now back to the A1 Trading Show.
And we are back with Miko and Marco for yet another Technical Thursday. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show.
Hello. What is up? How are you doing?
Good. And I was saying this kind of as a joke, but also seriously before I just ended. One of the best parts about having you guys on the show is that we get some, I know probably like half the audience is like breathing a sigh of relief. They're like, oh my gosh, finally we can get off that NASDAQ trade you just won't shut up about. We're now going to you guys for some currency setups. Maybe I'll dash in some gold as well. I know a lot of people are asking about that. I want to go, Marco, to you first in terms of things watching. Do you have any trades open? And I know you've got your list of things. Is anything sticking out to you in terms of setups today?
So for me, I did take two losses. First one was on the euro dollar. Right here, this flag. So it turned out to be a 1% loss this morning. And then the second trade I took was on the pound. So same flag, same sort of a formation. Basically, what I liked about those trades was the momentum prior. I was seeing some nice bullish momentum. It was coming out of a range, but again, this is enough momentum for me. And currently what I'm seeing on the pairs is, well, not much. Again, I'm being more patient. Looks like this has retraced now. EJ, it's moving down, but for me, very wicky and very corrective. So I'm being more patient on this one as well. I'm not really seeing that much selling pressure. Then the Aussie US dollar ranging around, Aussie JPY, Wiki as well, indecisive, very not clean price action. The pound, so yeah, just ranging around between the low and the high. And New Zealand Japanese yen ranging around as well. And again, wicks all over the place. So that's a very bad warning sign for the strategy that I trade. And yeah, that's about it. So probably waiting for NFP. What I found, usually a day or 2 days before NFP, the market kind of slows down, prepares for the news. So yeah, we will see what will happen tomorrow, and then maybe that will start some nice trends.
Sure. I know we talked about this last time. We just talked about how, whether, you guys are, people in the audience are fundamental traders or not. We know Miko and Marco, you guys are both primarily technical traders. However, the news candles can still be very useful in perhaps setting up opportunities, and also something to be cautious about ahead of time. Just because, especially if you're somebody who's trading like the 15-minute chart or, lower time frames, the news can knock you on your butt pretty quick if you're not careful. So thank you for that, Marco. I want to go to Miko also. Miko, in terms of setups, what are we looking at today? Is there anything sticking out to you, or do you have any trades open?
Yeah, I don't have any positions open at the moment. I'm looking at a couple pairs. In particular, I was looking at pound CAD a lot this morning for some buys, but I don't think I'm going to get the entry signal I was looking for. I was looking for a retest of this particular level here. We're starting to form a slight uptrend here to the upside, and we've got a lovely bullish trend in the higher time frames here, particularly the daily chart. So I'm looking for pound CAD to return back to the high. So that's the plan from the higher time frames, and on the 4H and on the hourly as well. We're starting to pick up a nice bullish trend, but we are breaking through that structure there, which is not necessarily a sign that we are going to suddenly melt to the downside, but it does mean I won't be looking for entries on that level anymore. We've got 9 minutes until that candle closes. So I was looking for some buys for pound CAD. I'm looking for buys for euro CAD as well. It's in a range, so I'm kind of waiting for it to break to the upside above the high of the range. I'm looking for, again, euro CAD, pound CAD, similar pairs. I'm looking for both of them to come back to their relative highs, back at 1.5 for euro CAD. But I do need to see a break of that high first, break of the consolidation to the upside, some pullbacks, and I'll be interested in some longs, but we've had another hefty rejection of the high of the range. So I'd probably suspect a bit more price action like that until we eventually break up or down, but I am interested for us to break to the upside and for some longs. Dollar pairs, I'm kind of in the same boat as Mark. I'm kind of just waiting for NFP on Friday because AUSD, I'm still pretty bearish on. We've been falling to the downside for a while. I'm still looking for sells, but still very choppy. And the USD similar as well. Euro and pound, kind of doing a bit of both. Euro broke to the upside quite aggressively this week, so I'm kind of staying put. Same thing with pound USD. So I'm kind of just waiting for the dollar pairs to move from Friday for NFP and maybe some nice trades going into September. So that's kind of where I'm at in the markets at the moment.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth just being cautious ahead of NFP. Miko, you gave us a little bit of your ahead of NFP plan. Marco, you mentioned it for a second. I want to come back to you for NFP prep. Of course, tomorrow is the big number coming out. How do you, if any, what do you do to prepare for an NFP event? And what do you have any like levels? Like, for example, I know a lot of traders, what they'll do, if you share my screen for a second, Chandler, is like, if we're looking at like Euro, for example, right? A lot of traders ahead of NFP, they'll get on their 4-hour chart and they'll kind of mark zones ahead of time. They'll say like, I'm watching for like an NFP break significantly below or above a key level. Do you do any prep like that ahead of NFP, or like mark levels out that you're watching for breakouts or reversals from?
So I don't do any sort of preparation, but I do have a rule. So I stop trading at 8 a.m. London Open on NFP. Basically, yeah, so no rules, no levels, but from experience, I noticed that the market kind of slows down before NFP. It doesn't really impact my trading, but then I kind of know what's happening. And usually, yeah, I take a day off on NFP, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, everybody's got kind of their strategy, and that's probably a very fair thing, because it's also you're I know for a lot of traders on Friday, the markets get really quiet because, Europe and that part of the world, their day is over, shortly after NFP's release, right? Because it's in the afternoon for you guys. So I know that can be a very choppy aftermath, and NFP is notoriously, volatile, and then like kind of you get some post news moves, but they can be weird, wonky, just because again a lot of the volume is drying up for the weekend. So it is an interesting news release, unlike, for example, like the Fed, speaking, or CPI on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday, something like that. It's a little bit different, but yeah. Anyways, I think for me, I do end up holding trades oftentimes through news events. I was talking this a little bit earlier on the stream. What about you, Mika? NFP, do you trade on that day, or do you kind of just manage trades if open? And do you ever hold trades into the release?
Yeah, so NFP, I kind of just treat it like pretty much any other news event. I do hold trades through the news quite a lot because, again, as a swing trader, it's difficult for me to kind of maneuver around the news. So I do hold trades overnight, and if I run into news, I'm not going to just exit just because news is coming up. So I will hold during news as well. So if I had a trade open right now, I would hold through NFP as long as I'm still in the position. I don't give any particular treatment other than if it's like an hour or 2 hours before, I don't enter a new trade, because if I do enter a trade, then my stop loss is kind of in the vicinity where I could get wicked out pretty easily, and spread will increase as well. So
Yeah.
I try not to enter just before, but if I'm in a trade before, I will hold through the news and see what happens. So yeah.
Yeah, that's somewhat similar to myself. I mean, when it comes to news events, I know, Miko, you're a little more like on the swing trading side like myself. And when it comes to like big news events like this, usually NFP day, I'm not taking a bunch of trades. I'm usually just kind of in trade management if I have something open. And if I have nothing open, I usually don't do much from there. So just kind of depends, different styles, different time frames. Of the three of us, I know Market tends to be kind of the lowest time frame. I'm kind of in the middle, and I know, Mika, you're a little bit more 4-hour chart based. So you get a nice mix. So everybody in the chat, whether you relate mostly with Marco, Mika, or myself, hopefully that is a little bit of insights to help you guys out as we go into, again, probably the biggest news of the month. Jobs numbers are hotly anticipated right now. And this week, you guys have probably seen just the dollar, really taking a beating off of its highs of 104.4. It's come down really strong just because, again, we've had basically a couple different data releases already hinting at weakening in the job market. So it'll be interesting to see if that NFP confirms it. And just to add context to that, I'd love to get you guys' technical thoughts on the dollar in just a moment, but I'll just add, if we get NFP, I know it's Technical Thursday, but give me 1 second to throw my fundamentals in there. If we have 3 really bad jobs numbers in a row, it's possible that the dollar cracks and breaks lower. And I would imagine you guys are probably seeing a little bit of that momentum drying up in the technicals as well. So, Marco, what do you think on the dollar? I mean, whether take it from the daily chart, 1-hour chart, whatever you'd like to do, dollar index. I'm just curious, especially as we go into NFP, what you think.
Sure. So let me open it up. So yeah, on the 1 hour, I would expect this to go a bit lower. I mean, I'm seeing 2 very strong bearish legs, and I'm not really seeing that much bullish pressure kick in this pullback. So overall, the momentum is down for me personally. So I would expect more downside. Is it like a really strong downtrend? For me, it's not. Again, this leg is pretty deep, so I would not be 100%. I'm never 100% certain, but I would be kind of hesitant to say that probabilities are for this to go down, but I'm still seeing sellers winning in this current market, again, because of these 2 strong bearish legs, just by judging the current momentum.
Sure.
And overall kind of flat, possibly in this general area. So yeah, that's kind of my analysis on DXY.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, I think at the very least, that slowing of momentum, whether this market's going to go kind of sideways for a while or possibly even break the other way, is going to be probably determined in large part by what we get tomorrow. Miko, what about yourself in terms of dollar index? Of course, that can be a big kind of place to start when it comes to dollar crosses. Is keeping an eye on the dollar index, or perhaps like the euro is another major one to watch, kind of to set the precedent for dollar pairs. What do you think?
Yeah, so DXY for me is in a very interesting area on the higher time frames, particularly the daily chart. Excuse me. So yeah, price at a very interesting area. And for myself, I'm kind of just waiting for NFP because I know NFP is going to cause some movement, whether it's crazy or minimal. That's yet to be seen. But in terms of the technicals and the higher time frame, I've been looking at the DXY quite a lot at this particular area here because we were pulling back into this area. So I was waiting to see if the DXY is going to melt from here because we have been forming these lower highs, 1, 2, and potentially 3 over here. But we never really saw that. Price was just kind of moving sideways. So I was very, very neutral on DXY in this area. Then we had a big breakout. So I was looking for DXY to keep going, push back to the highs and those highs eventually. And then we had this big snap back to the downside again. And our price is kind of just dancing at this particular area. So my kind of bias is neutral. It looks like price may be breaking underneath it, but it's not clear cut. I want to see price kind of really pull away a little bit. And that's maybe what the NFP could give us on Friday. If you can see a really nice, confident, bearish candle closing below, then we could see that trend that Marco was talking about on the lower time frames really start looking a lot more significant, and then some shorts on the lower time frames going into next week will look good. So maybe some longs on euro, and likewise, if you do break to the upside as well, then we've got more of a confident breakout that we could be looking to come back into the highs over here and then over here. So I can see DXY going both ways, which is why I'm neutral, just waiting for NFP to kind of cement things in stone.
Yeah, so it's clearly a very important day, whether you're a technical or fundamental trader tomorrow. Tomorrow's volatility could possibly help us find a new direction for the dollar, or at least a little bit more clarity on where the dollar may be moving next. So again, this week so far, we've had some jobs data that has been pretty weak for the dollar. Will that continue or reverse? The answer might be on the release. That's why, guys, when you think about all these pressures, both on the technical and fundamental side, that's why NFP is so hotly anticipated and watched by so many traders. It, in essence, could potentially give us a little bit of guidance as to where the dollar is going next. Miko, Marco, thank you both for coming on the show. We do this every week. We do this as Technical Thursdays. If you guys are not already subscribed to Miko and Marco, they both have awesome YouTube channels where you can find out more. If you like either one of their styles, you can find out whether, they're what they're trading, what they're looking at. They share tons of great content, and both very real and awesome traders to follow. So we're going to drop their links in the chat here. They've already been dropped in the live chat here. So just click those links, subscribe to those channels, and again, you'll be happy that you did so. They've got both great content on their channels. Guys, thank you very much for coming on.
I just have one more question for you guys, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I know the markets are ever changing, and for me, I have to adjust with the volatility. So some years I will tolerate something, some years I will not. But you guys mostly trade support and resistance. Is that correct? So how would you say the markets changing impacts your support and resistance monitoring of the charts?
That is a great question, Marco. Miko, you want to go first?
So yeah, I mean, for me, I just kind of take it year by year. I understand that my P&L for every year will be unique. So I kind of give myself like quite a big ballpark to aim for. So in terms of the fluctuations year by year, I'm not too concerned unless it's kind of very unexpected in terms of what I've collected in my back testing. So if it's kind of within the same returns I'm expecting it to be, then I'm not really too concerned. In terms of support and resistance, I don't really notice anything too drastic changes with support and resistance. Again, I utilize the higher time frame. So I think if people on the lower time frames, like 15-minute, I think there are probably more fluctuations because of new algorithms and stuff. But on the 4H daily chart, support and resistance has been quite rigid and quite sensible for quite a long time. But I'm not seeing too much fluctuation there. But yeah, in terms of 2023, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit slow this year for me personally, but I haven't seen anything too drastic.
Yeah, that again, that's a good question, Marco. And for me, in terms of support and resistance, I mentioned this as you guys were kind of just joining, but the technical side for me is very, very basic. Support, resistance, trend lines, price action, pullbacks, kind of things like that. That's what I've traded for a very long time. And over the course, I wouldn't say they've really changed all that much. And if the question is, is the market just getting too smart for those concepts? I think it's just kind of one of these really age-old things about human beings. They're emotional, and in the charts you can sometimes see that over and over. And I don't necessarily think that is going away anytime soon. It's kind of like if I don't know, support and resistance materialized into everyday conversation. If tickets are selling at $20, but when they go 25% off and they sell for $15 to that concert everybody wants to go, everybody's going to scoop it up at that $15 mark. There's like a psychological thing. And I think support and resistance has that. If it's like the stock market all-time high, right? That's a level that everybody sees. It does kind of demand kind of like a response, a focus by the markets. I think support and resistance, especially off of like the daily and 4-hour charts, as well as, even the 1-hour charts, when a lot of traders are looking at it, it's hard to deny that they're not still used. And because of that, it's kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy that makes them kind of ever relevant as human beings. So I don't know. I mean, to me, that component of my strategy has not changed for a very long time. And, the fundamentals certainly do. They change every day. So that part of my strategy is constantly changing to try and fit what's going on. But the technical side has stayed really, really stagnant for a long time. So good question, Marco. Always.
Thank you, guys.
You've always got the good question. Before we end it though, Marco, what do you think? What has it changed anything for you?
So for me, it's all about the volatility. I noticed when I back tested, let's say 2010, 2011, 2012, the volatility was like 5 times higher. So I needed to adjust my definition of where I see a momentum shift or where I see bullish pressure, selling pressure. But in terms of support and resistance, I have seen it steadily working, as I always look at it in the back of my mind. So it's steadily working in the last 15 years. So I think that's something that's not going to go away or change anytime soon. But in terms of volatility, I can definitely see a shift in the way I need to trade last 10 years or this last 2 years, let's say.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, just in terms of volatility, always interesting to study the VIX. We've talked about the VIX before. It is a measurement of kind of what the markets are in terms of, I like to call it the fear gauge. The fear gauge can change the way markets behave. You can see clearly 2020, everything got thrown out the window, very different. And now we are kind of entering back into a territory that we were back in prior to all the craziness. 2019, we're slowly seeing the VIX make its way back to, the low teens, which is a lower volatility environment. So very, very interesting to study volatility. And for anybody who hasn't checked out the VIX, just type in TradingView VIX. It is a fascinating chart to keep an eye on. And especially if you're an options trader like myself, it is a very cool chart to keep an eye on. So Mako, Marco, I want to thank you both again for coming on the show. We have dropped your links to your channels in the chat, and we will see you back next week on Technical Thursdays.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you guys. All right. Always a good segment each week. That NASDAQ trade, as soon as I can get back to, I got to check on the NASDAQ trade, right? So still on it. Have not done anything to the position, still trailing my stop and watching that one close. I do also want to say, reminder that our sale is ending off of the EDGEFINDER. If you do not have access to it, it is currently 35% off. And if you have been thinking about getting the tool, if you've been wondering questions about it, if you want to hear more about it, we've just made a ton of updates. And to celebrate all the updates, all the new scanners, the gold scanner, index scanner, forex scanner, etc., we're launching a 35% off sale. All you have to do to get access to the 35% off is click the link that's in the chat or the description right here, and we'll take you to a direct message center where you can speak to someone, a real person on our team, to get set up with a copy of the tool. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to today's show. It was a great one, and we will see you back on the next one. See you guys.
And
And that concludes today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to keep you up to date with the latest market coverage through our daily videos and articles. If you like our content, make sure to subscribe for more. You can get funded today up to $200K with FX2 funding. Use our code A1Trading15 for a special discount. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.